To CNN.com.
You're all slaves, and you love it. So you deserve what you get, the erosion of your democracy. You'll soon be the laughing stock of the world.
Wow. Wow.
Yesterday, it was easier to control 1 million people than to kill 1 million people. Then now he says it's easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people, because the genie is out of the box, the cat is out of the bag, the people all over the world are waking up, and you need to wake up.
Wow. Wow. Have you ever heard a message and learned something new? Just went, wow. I think you're going to do that now with this video here. It's one of those videos that do that. And let me just say to all you out there watching that there are more for us than against us. There are still those out there who have not bowed their knee to Baal. What say you? Please like and subscribe, and if you believe that this content is uplifting, encouraging, and chain-breaking, then I ask you also to share it with others. Unity and one love is the purpose here for this channel, and the cause that we have is hoping to see all of us join hands and find common ground with each other. First of all, those who know me know that I'm a Christian. However, I don't only believe that Christians are the only people in the world who know the facts of the matters or the truth on things. I do believe the Bible is true, 100%, and nothing but the truth. And Jesus Christ is the only way to the truth. He is the truth and the life and the light. And nobody will go to the Father except by him. I believe that's firmly 100%. But I don't believe a lot of other things outside the scripture. Things like who's the best politician or who's the best football team. That's all subjective. You know what I'm saying. So I listen to wise counsel in all areas of life outside of what Christians say, outside of the Bible. I listen to other people, and I agree with Muslims on topics over certain Christians on topics. And I believe some Christians over Muslims on topics, or Islams, or heathens, or atheists on issues that's outside of the spirit, outside of the spiritual realm. The things that are subjective, other than God's truth. And when I heard Farrakhan's speech on Muammar Gaddafi, I have to share it with everyone, because it's the most vivid picture that anyone has ever drawn on Gaddafi and Africa's downfall as one nation. It's exactly what Gaddafi was going for, exactly what Africa is looking at becoming right now as we speak. One nation. One nation. Please let me hear from you in the comments as you're listening to this, because I do believe that when we all join into the discussions and feed off of each other, the ideas kind of mingle and come into a more sound hope for the future, and more ideas get mixed together that make more sense together than it does individually. So let's just, if you would, just go grab a drink or a snack, whatever you want to do, and get ready to be wowed. One love.
None of us can trust the United Nations again, because it is a pawn of the Western world. No nation that had weapons of mass destruction would dare give them up as Muammar Gaddafi gave up his. You can forget it with North Korea. You can forget it with Pakistan. You can forget it with any nation that has them. And now any nation that does not have weapons of mass destruction will be clamoring to get them, because that means that is the only protection they have from these wicked witches of the West. So you've earned now a great war that is on the horizon. And killing Muammar Gaddafi, you have upset revolutionaries throughout the world. and American interests are in danger now because the spirit that is in the world that loved him will be to do harm to American interests. Well, is that your spirit, Minister Farrakhan? I don't need weapons. The weapon that I have is the tongue that God gave me, and the word that he gave me to speak, and the warning that he gave me to give America and the world. No, I don't have that in my heart, but the scripture is very clear. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, and you are about to reap all that you have sown, and then some.
Talk of Chicago, 1690 WPO.
First, Brother Cliff, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said when John Fitzgerald Kennedy was assassinated that there is no king, no ruler, no prophet who enjoys 100% the love of his people. That has never happened in these 6,000 years, and it certainly is not so in America, and it was not so in Libya. I never lived in Libya, so I don't know Libya like the Libyans know Libya. But I know something of the good of Muammar Gaddafi that made me to love him as a brother and to feel a great sense of loss at his assassination. Before I say to the public some of the things that Brother Gaddafi did that can be proved at no limit of time, I'd like to read to the public Brother Gaddafi's last will and testament that came out sometime yesterday. As you know, Brother Muammar Gaddafi was offered asylum in other countries. He refused to leave Libya. And as you know, he said he would be martyred in Libya. This is where he lived, this is where he would fight, and this is where he would die. So I'd like to read this will, and I want you to listen carefully to his words. He said, "This is my will. I, Muammar bin Mudabi bin Muhammad bin Abdussalam bin Humaid bin Abu Manya bin Humaid bin Nail al-Fusi Gaddafi, do swear that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. Peace be upon him. I pledge that I will die as a Muslim." This was written on the 17th of October. He said, "Should I be killed, I would like to be buried according to Muslim rituals in the clothes I was wearing at the time of my death, but with my body unwashed in the cemetery of Sirte next to my family and relatives. I would like that my family, especially the women and children, to be treated well after my death. The Libyan people should protect its identity, achievements, history, and the honorable image of its ancestors and heroes. The Libyan people should not relinquish the sacrifices of the free and best people. I call on my supporters to continue the resistance and fight any foreign aggressor against Libya today, tomorrow, and always. Let the free people of the world know that I could have sold out our cause in return for a secure and stable personal life. I received many offers to this effect, but chose to be at the vanguard of the confrontation as a badge of duty and honor. Even if we do not win immediately, we will provide a lesson to future generations that choosing to protect the nation is an honor, and selling it out is the greatest betrayal that history will forever remember, however they try to portray this. This was the end of his will. He was killed in a military uniform. He wanted to be buried in the khaki clothes that he was wearing. And of course, you heard the news that they took his body out in the middle of the night. He and his son, Mutasim, who we have in a picture meeting with Hillary Clinton a year and a half ago and shaking hands with Secretary of State Clinton, which should show the world that shaking hands with your enemy and receiving a pat on the back from your enemy should never lull you to sleep that the enemy has changed. The enemy is the enemy. And when you fall asleep on that knowledge, that is when the enemy will take us out. The betrayals of his inner circle. Don't think that that is overseas. That is in our own house. And we today need to watch for those close around for signs of betrayal. Because it is written in the scriptures of the Bible that in the last days perilous times will come. And betrayal will be one of the marks of the end of the world, because people will feel that they'll be safer betraying a good cause, a just cause, to save their lives. Gaddafi died in honor, fighting for the Libya that he believed in. They would never have won if NATO was not bombing day in and day out. Brother Ali Baghdadi, that is a writer and a great Arab writer, said they bombed Libya back to the Stone Age. We were in Libya. We saw Libya being built from the ground up. We witnessed what this man did for the Libyan people. And for NATO to have bombed it like this, watch for Halliburton, watch for Bechtel, watch for the vultures of London, England, and France, and others trying to rebuild the infrastructure that they purposely destroyed, which is against international law. You went for humanitarian purposes, yet 50,000 Libyans lie dead because the West wanted access to the wealth of Libya. Now let me tell you what this man did. Did he kill people? Well, hell, did our president kill people? to me. Yes. You have made your president an assassin. That the only value that he has now is that he was responsible for the death of Osama bin Laden. He was captured without a weapon. He should have been brought to America, put on trial for the American people to see this man. But he was executed, so you will never know the real truth. Then Alaki, an American citizen who is against America's policies, a drone took him out and then came back later and killed his son. Now Muammar Gaddafi and his sons lie dead. Saddam Hussein and his sons lie dead. Well, what about your sons? They're dying in Iraq on the basis of a lie. They're dying in Afghanistan on the basis of a lie. And now drones are in Pakistan, drones in Somalia, drones in Yemen. When will it stop? America, do you think that you can get away with this? First, I would like to say some of the things that made me fall in love with Muammar Gaddafi. It wasn't any money that he loaned to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or that he loaned to the Nation of Islam and forgave. For $5 million that he loaned us, for you to think that I am that kind of prostitute, that I would give myself to any man for money.
That's right.
It's the principle that made me his brother. Now look at what this man did. After nationalizing the oil, he used the oil revenue to benefit the Libyan people, building schools, infrastructure, universities, hospitals. He raised the literacy rate from 20% when he became the leader, and at the time of his assassination, it is 83%. Libya has one of the finest healthcare systems in the third world. All people have access to doctors, hospitals, clinics, and medicines free of charge. If a Libyan needs surgery that is unavailable in Libya, funding is provided for the surgery to be carried out overseas. He raised the life expectancy of the Libyan people from 44 years, and now at the time of his assassination, 75 years of age. Basic food items were subsidized and electricity was made available throughout the country. Brother Muammar Gaddafi has set up huge irrigation projects which were established in order to support a drive toward agricultural development and food self-sufficiency. He spent $33 billion on the man-made river, where his engineers brought water up out of the desert, and now pipelines ran from Benghazi and Tobruk almost to the door of Tunisia. Any Libyan who wanted to become a farmer was and still is given free use of land, a house, farm equipment, livestock, and seed. Brother Muammar Gaddafi vowed that his own parents, who lived in a tent in the desert, would not be housed until every Libyan was housed. He fulfilled that promise. Under the revolutionary leadership of Muammar Gaddafi, Libya has now attained the highest standard of living in Africa. Money from Libya's oil revenue is directly deposited into the bank account of every Libyan. Women have full access to education, employment, and he has enabled women to serve in the armed forces. And this is most important. Gaddafi was the first and the only leader in the Arab world to formally apologize for the Arab role in the trade in captured Africans. Gaddafi acknowledged that the black Africans were the true owners of Libya and proclaimed in his Green Book, quote, "The black race shall prevail throughout the world." Now, Brother Gaddafi took oil money and started moving the Organization of African Unity toward the African Union, with a goal toward uniting 53, now 54 nations in Africa to the United States of Africa. Whenever we called Africa, our call had to go through Europe, and over $500 million went to Europe. But Gaddafi put up 400 million, and the rest of Africa put up 100 million and put up an African satellite. Now you can call directly to Africa from anywhere in the world without going through Europe. He asked the African nations to stop sending their raw materials to Europe to be made into products and then sent back to Africa to be paid for in an exorbitant price range. He wanted the Africans to take their raw materials and make them into products and then sell their products on the world market. This is the man that was assassinated, and I'll close this point. The minute he wanted Africa united, America, Britain, France, Germany, Europe was against it. So they set up NEPAD, a new economic development pact. Gaddafi was against it. Sarkozy came up with another plan to take all the North African nations that are Arab and unite them with the nations of Southern Europe. Gaddafi rejected that. America wanted to set up on the African continent Africom as a launching pad for the recolonization of Africa. Gaddafi was against that. I read an article by the Jewish man from a Zionist that was the former assistant to Rumsfeld. I can't call his name.
Pearl.
Who?
Pearl.
No, not Pearl. Wolfowitz.
Oh, Wolfowitz, yeah.
Wolfowitz.
Hold your point, Minister. We got to go to a top of the hour break. That's the kind of information, though, that I wanted you to give us.
Carolina High School were injured today when a chemistry experiment sparked an explosion.
That's good.
Hazmat crews are still on the scene. A nurse who worked for Michael Jackson took the
There's so
stand
many
in the
people
trial
who
of
don't know
Dr.
that.
Conrad Murray today. Sherilyn Lee testified.
And they don't know it because the media is bought and paid for.
Surgical anesthetic.
This is a hell of a betrayal of the American people when you will not tell them the truth because you're afraid that if you tell the truth, your bosses will take your job from you. That's a hell of a thing. You don't have a democracy when you don't have a free press.
Go to CNN.com.
You're all slaves and you love it. So you deserve what you get, the erosion of your democracy. You'll soon be the laughing stock of the world.
That works out to less than 50 cents a
It's a
roll.
damn shame. That's why the children
So come in.
are occupying space in New York, in Boston, in Washington, in Chicago, in San Francisco, and other cities. Why? Because they're not looking to you as a source of information for them. Look how long it took you all to talk about what was going on in New York. It took took you 2 weeks because the same people that control the banks control the media. You all know it, but you're afraid to say it. But God put it on Farrakhan to say it for you. And maybe one day you'll get some courage to stand up and give America free media, a real free fourth estate. But right now, you ain't even worth the time of day.
Local news headlines, traffic and weather up next on WVON.
I'm glad. Hell, I'm not hiding nothing. You need somebody to tell the truth.
That's right.
You need somebody that's not afraid to die for the truth, that you could be made free. Because you're not free. And you don't really know what it means to really be a free white person, a free black person, a free Mexican, a free Arab. If you're afraid to tell the truth, what future does your children have in a society where truth is brushed to the curb? I thank God for the young man that invented this wonderful technology.
Steve Jobs, yeah.
Steve Jobs. That's the man that's freeing the whole planet, where Zbigniew Brzezinski could say, yesterday it was easier to control 1 million people than to kill 1 million people. Then now he says it's easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people, because the genie is out of the box, the cat is out of the bag, the people all over the world are waking up. And you need to wake up and free America. Then you'll have a future, and your children will have a future. But if you're afraid for what? You're going to die anyway. Where can you run to escape death? If you love America, then fight for America to be free.
Yeah, I know. It's probably nothing.
Nothing? Shouldn't I don't know, like...
I'm not in the best mood, brother.
I know you're
Great. You're in a great mood.
Stop. No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Get to the top of the hour, is it a way to get a minister like the 2 minutes before you don't know that?
Yes, sir, brother.
I know, you're right. You're right. And I was moving and I just couldn't.
I'm not only hurting for Gaddafi, I'm hurting for us.
2 minutes at the top of the hour.
Okay. That thing, who let the dogs out?
Good point. Thank you.
What has just been done has let the dogs of destruction out.
This message brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
I thank God that He didn't make me to fear your censure of me.
Republicans write you off with this kind of inactivity. That will happen. This is the time for you to tell.
Some run and hide from being a friend of Gaddafi now because he's a bad man.
9 to noon.
He killed his own people.
1690 WVON. Mornings.
I don't know any leader that has not killed somebody to come to power. That's why the leaders walk on red carpet, because they came to power shedding blood, and they shed blood to maintain power. But make a white carpet for Farrakhan.
Go ahead.
I killed nobody. But the God I serve, He's about to kill a lot of people.
I want to go back to what you were saying at the top of the hour about Paul Wolfowitz.
Paul Wolfowitz wrote an article, I think it was in the New York Times, that an African Union or a United States of Africa would not be good for the future of Israel. Now, I don't know why he said that, but if the United States of Africa would not be good for Israel, and the United States of Africa would not be good for Europe and America, then this is more reason why Gaddafi had to be taken out. And just before Gaddafi was assassinated, they said that our president was sending 100 U.S. troops into Uganda to help President Museveni in his war against the Lord's Resistance Army. Then I heard that Kenya is moving its troops to the border of Somalia to fight against Al-Shabaab, which is the Islamist group that is fighting for governance, for the power of governance in Somalia. Now, today I read that the man who is over the National Transitional Council said, and I'm quoting now, that they're going to institute Sharia. And my God, did you kill Gaddafi to have someone now institute the very thing that you've been fighting against all over the world? And this man, after he has come into some degree of power, tells you that he's going to establish Sharia and the banks will not charge interest on money following Sharia? What have you gotten yourself into, America? And did you think that if you pull all of your troops out of Iraq, that that's the end of it? No. These people are angry and hurt over the way American soldiers did them, both in Iraq and in Afghanistan and in other parts of the world. Oh, America, America. You're blinded by your arrogance. You're blinded by your military power, and it's leading you step by step to your destruction.
As I was saying in the beginning of the video, and I'm going to repeat it once again, please like, subscribe, click the notification button so when I get information out, you can get information in, because, you know, the system wants to hold you down, but the people of the world are not going to let that happen, I have a feeling. So let me know what you think about the video you just watched. This is part 1. There's more. Stay tuned, and we'll see you on the next one. One love.